Yeah. This is your boy, Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm always grateful to be in the presence of the beautiful people. We always got to start the show with gratitude. Thank you guys so much for always locking in on the content. Thank you guys for staying present, especially when things are happening in your personal lives. Trust me, I understand that more than anybody. I always understand when things happen that we didn't necessarily expect, when we get hit with curveballs and we still have to find a way to pivot and get a single, get a double, get a triple, maybe knock it out the park, whatever it is you got to do, whatever you got going on. Trust me, I believe you and I feel you on that. So I'm always grateful for you guys finding a way to fit me into your daily schedule. Some of you guys are at work, probably getting ready to get off from work. Maybe some of you guys are already off, heading home. Maybe your shift started pretty early. Maybe you guys are probably heading into work for maybe that third shift or that second shift, whatever it may be. So I really appreciate you guys really staying locked in no matter what's going on. I know some of you guys might be getting ready to work a double. Them bills is due. Them kids got to eat. I totally understand the perspective of having to live up to expectations. So I'm always grateful to you guys for finding a way to fit me into your daily schedule no matter what's going on. I don't take that for granted. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are also locked in on the content. That means a lot to me. The more you guys lock in, the more you guys stay engaged in the content, man, the show can only grow. More people can only find the content. You guys are a part of this community here, and the needle doesn't move without you guys. So I want you guys to know your power, exercise your power, enforce your power, and be grateful for that power, because YouTube is a beautiful space and it allows us to really get a lot of our personal thoughts and opinions and views off with with the proper reckless abandon, the proper checks and balances. But nonetheless, I'm grateful to be able to even meet you guys on this platform and just talk football, talk whatever's going on. So let's get into it, right? Let's not waste any time. Again, like I said, make sure you guys hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, and also shout out to my people on Twitter, my ex family. Thank y'all so much for always staying engaged. You guys are awesome. The views are always going up on Twitter, and I appreciate you guys always retweeting, sharing the content. I even like when you guys follow me and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is pretty cool, man. So let's get into the content. And today is May 31st, Friday. Happy Friday to you guys. Today is May 31st. Tomorrow is June 1st. And we know it's that time for a lot of these organizations to decide who's going to be that post June 1st cut. Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? Which contract is worth its weight in gold? And which contracts are kind of holding you back and you're not really getting the value for what you're paying for the player? That's the nature of the game. It's the nature of the business. You win some, you lose some, but you live. You live to fight another day. And somebody who, in my opinion, who's worn out their welcome, not because of his personality or not because he's been a detriment to team chemistry or anything, but this player has worn out their welcome because of their play as of late. And that's Darius Slay. Oh, I'm sorry, not Darius Slay, excuse me, James Bradberry. No, definitely not Darius Slay. I think Darius Slay is going to be gone after this season. I think Darius Slay is probably going to either be moved on from. That's a different conversation. But James Bradberry is the topic of conversation today. So please excuse the Freudian slip. James Bradberry is somebody who is and likely will be on the chopping block. That's my perspective. And I think a lot of people agree with that, especially when you think about the numbers. When you think about how he performed after getting that contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then you think about how the Philadelphia Eagles are actually able to get out of it relatively unscathed. Let's put it in perspective. James Bradberry heading into the 2024 season would have a $15.1 million dead cap hit. And the Eagles have an opportunity to cut him and make him as a post-June 1st cut, which will lower that dead cap from $15.1 million to a $4.3 million number. The difference of over $10 million in relief for a veteran who didn't really give you anything last year it's par for the course. I think we would be shocked if James Bradberry was a Philadelphia Eagle come week 1. Now, granted, you never really know what the future may hold for him. Is there a situation where they cut him and try to bring him back? I doubt that, because the Philadelphia Eagles made a lot of moves in the offseason in their DB room, which indicated that they're prepared to move on from James Bradberry. That DB room, the cornerback room in particular, has a lot of bodies, and they are talented at that. You brought in, or you drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. You drafted Cooper DeJean in the second round. You still had Isaiah Rodgers in the tuck, and he's making plays in the OTAs. And you have Kelee Ringo, a guy who's looking to take his game to another level. There's a lot of bodies. The Eagles have a lot of options at that cornerback 2 position, and James Bradberry is looking like the odd man out, if you ask me. James Bradberry had a stellar 2022 season with the Philadelphia Eagles. Stellar. He was a second-team All-Pro, easily his best season of his career. But a lot of things had to happen for that to take shape, right? He got really, really strong safety play. He got amazing defensive line play or a pass rush from the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he was in a prime situation. He was playing opposite Darius Slay, never really had to take over the main guy or cover the hardest assignment. James Bradberry was in a system that was really optimal for his skill set. He's not a speed guy. He's not really the smoothest in and out of his breaks. He's 30 years old. He's a guy that has limitations to his game. He's his own corner. And that's not to say the Philadelphia Eagles don't run a scheme that's friendly to zone corners. It's just the fact that he hasn't performed even in situations that's optimal to his skill set, especially in the 2023 season. That's just a fact. He had ample opportunity to get things back in gear, but he couldn't. Now, granted, if I'm going to throw him any bail, there was a lot of coaching. There was some coaching turnover on the defensive side that none of us really agreed with. Sean Desai was very inconsistent. Matt Patricia didn't know what he was doing. Granted, he was kind of thrown into a unfavorable situation. I feel like 2023 was unfavorable for everybody, but James Bradberry, I just felt like he underperformed in a way that was way beyond just poor coaching. He underperformed in a way that made you believe, oh no, he lost a step. As a matter of fact, does he even still have anything? He was a liability. Point blank, period. So I think about the options the Eagles have at that cornerback 2 position, and I don't see a future with James Bradberry on this team, especially when you factor in the money. I'll say it again. Going into the 2024 season, he's going to have a $15.1 million dead cap hit. That's a lot. But if they opt to cut him post June 1st, that would lower that $15.1 million dead cap hit to a $4.3 million dead cap hit. That's very manageable. That's a $10 million difference. That's par for the course for the NFL. When teams got players on contracts that they feel like they're not getting value out of, they're going to find a way to move on from that player, especially if they're 30, and especially if they draft your replacement. On top of that, James Bradberry has not been present for the media available OTAs. Now I don't want to speak on the OTAs where media can't be there or they're not available. Right? I want to make that very clear. Excuse me, you guys. There we go. So James Bradberry is not in a situation. Like I said, they draft your replacement. I got this puppy, man, and he just gets into any and everything. And I don't want to have to pick you up, my friend, but I will. So have a seat, all right? Nonetheless, sorry about that, you guys. But yeah, you saved $10 million cutting that man. Why wouldn't you do that? Makes perfect sense. Makes business sense. You drafted his replacements. It makes all the sense in the world. Excuse me, you guys. Sorry about that. I got to keep him close. He can't sit still. There we go. I got to keep this dog close. He can't sit still. And the last thing I need this puppy doing is getting into something that's going to make my show that much more difficult to run. So, again, James Bradberry, not in a situation that's optimal for him. The Eagles are ready to move on. They're ready to get younger in key spots, especially at cornerback. They know they already have an aging Darius Slay. They can't afford to have two guys on that roster making that kind of money, especially if they're 30 plus. They got to get younger. And honestly, I think Quinyon Mitchell has to get on that field. Quinyon Mitchell has to get on the field ASAP. As of right now, he's getting the second team reps. But I think come training camp and when the season starts, you're going to see Quinyon Mitchell starting opposite Darius Slay. I think that's the ultimate vision for the Philadelphia Eagles. But another player that's going to make it another player that's going to be a tough out is Isaiah Rodgers. He's making plays in OTAs. Again, a lot still has to happen. Training camp and all that kind of stuff, right? Preseason. So much has to happen. But when I think about the way Isaiah Rodgers is playing, and you drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, there's no scenario financially or personnel-wise that makes sense for the Philadelphia Eagles to keep James Bradberry. So I think James Bradberry is cooked. Now, can he revitalize his career somewhere else? Sure. Maybe his career isn't cooked, but he's cooked in Philadelphia. That goose has been cooked. Take the turkey out of the oven. It's time to sharpen the tools. It's done. He's done. And on top of that, you got to factor in that there's been some rumors floating around when it comes to James Bradberry. There's been rumors about him potentially getting moved to Arizona. Arizona has a lot of young cornerbacks, talented guys that they like. Guys like, I want to say, Catrell Clark, Garrett Williams, Starling Thomas. They have young corners that they drafted and that they have on that roster, but they need some veteran leadership. Could James Bradberry be sent to the Cardinals with packaged in some sort of way? Maybe the Eagles get a pick back. You never know. But James Bradberry is not going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Also, there's a scenario where I think the Colts are even considering making a play for the player. The Colts, they could definitely use some cornerback help. Shane Steichen is over there. He knows Bradberry. He had to compete against him regularly. Jonathan Gannon in Arizona, obviously familiar with James Bradberry. Jonathan Gannon was able to help James Bradberry have his best season of his career. Again, all those variables make too much sense. So I have a hard time seeing James Bradberry being the Philadelphia Eagle anytime soon. Travis Reichen says nobody wants Bradberry, so he'll be stuck here like Zach Ertz. Nah, they're going to cut him. They have an opportunity to cut him. Nah, if anything, they'll cut him. Don't get it twisted. He ain't stuck here at all. Especially knowing that if you cut him, you could save $10 million. Yeah. He ain't stuck nowhere, Travis. Tyler Broswell says, yeah, he's the best corner we have, proven corner, but we are stacked at that position now. Bradberry's gone, but I low-key think he would be better with Fangio. It's a possibility. It's, Tyler, it's funny. You could be right. There is a possibility that James Bradberry could have a bounce-back season under Vic Fangio. And I would be totally on board with that revival. I would be totally on board with James Bradberry turning things around under Vic Fangio. But here's the caveat that I already mentioned. They drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. They drafted Cooper DeJean. They have Isaiah Rodgers. When you factor in the money Bradberry's making, the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles have loaded up their roster, in particular in the cornerback room, with options. Isaiah Rodgers is playing well in OTAs. Quinyon Mitchell is having a strong OTAs. Why would they even consider keeping them? And again, you cut them, you save $10 million. It's also a numbers game too. So although there's a chance that Bradberry possibly could turn things around under Vic Fangio, there's too many other options. There's too many other options that are cheaper for the Philadelphia Eagles to have at that position. James Bradberry won't be here, unfortunately, Tyler. John Monroe says, hey, brother Tone, Isaiah is going to be the insurance for Quinyon. Hey, well, listen, the way Isaiah Rodgers is playing, he's trying to be on the football field. Now, obviously, the Eagles drafted Quinyon Mitchell, so they want him to be the number one. They want him to be the corner next to Darius Slay. But Isaiah Rodgers is making it hard. Isaiah Rodgers is going to make these coaches make a tough decision. But I still think in the end, Quinyon Mitchell becomes the CB2 behind Darius Slay. Cody said, we got too much young talent. Get Bradberry out the way for their reps. Exactly. The Eagles made it very clear that they're trying to get young, especially on defense. They're trying to get younger on defense. They're trying to get these young guys on the field and develop them at that. The Eagles can't go into another season having two corners over 30 years old. They can't afford to do that. Especially when you drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. Bold Brew says the cornerback room is too crowded. Bradberry's out. Yeah, we all agree. We all agree. Dave Duss, he says Devin White and CJ will be huge for us this season. You know what's funny? Because I wanted to talk about the linebacker room with you guys, in particular, as it pertains to Nakobe Dean and Zack Baun. But Devin White has been making plays in OTAs. He's been looking healthy, very, very, very instinctual, especially in pass coverage. CJ, I mean, I think CJ is going to bring his own brand of football. Only thing I worry about with CJ is just stay healthy. I'm not worried about his performance. I only think about his health. And I pray he has a healthy season for his sake and for ours as fans. But that linebacker room, right? Like I said, James Bradberry is in a situation that's not really optimal for him. So he's likely going to be pushed out. But that linebacker room, there's a lot of bodies there as well. You got Devin White, and I'm talking about the inside linebackers, right? Your own ball linebackers and off ball, but your inside linebackers. Devin White, Nakobe Dean, Zack Baun, Oren Burks, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Ben Van Sumer, and Brandon Smith. The Philadelphia Eagles have a lot of bodies at linebacker. And so far through OTAs, Devin White has been with the first team. And Zack Baun has been with the first team. Here's what's interesting, though. When you look at the depth chart, they still have Nakobe Dean ahead of Zack Baun. And again, we still have a lot of offseason left. We're only in OTAs. Training camp still has to go down. We're still waiting on preseason to take shape. So Nakobe Dean can very well change his narrative. But right now, Zack Baun is getting the first team reps next to Devin White. That says a lot for a guy that just got there. That tells me a lot. Zack Baun just got there. Nakobe Dean been with the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 seasons. And already Zack Baun is ahead of him. Now, granted, Nakobe Dean has been limited in OTAs, but he still took part in team drills. Obviously, he's been dealing with the feet injuries. Devin White and Zack Baun were the first team linebackers in 7-on-7 yesterday. Dean rotated in for Baun. And then later on, the Eagles had an 11-on-11 period where Dean rotated in for White. So as you can see, Devin White and Zack Baun are clearly ahead of Nakobe Dean, and they've been rotating Nakobe Dean with Devin White and Zack Baun respectively. It's looking like they're trying to prepare Nakobe Dean to be that linebacker that just subs in for Devin White or Zack Baun if they're not on the field. That's what that tells me. If Devin White and Zack Baun are on the field, Nakobe Dean is going to sub in for one of those guys if need be, if there's an injury that happens. I'm willing to go out on a limb here, and I told you guys. I told you. And a lot of people laughed at me. I said, watch out for Zack Baun. Motherfuckers thought I was crazy. They said, Zack Baun, nobody worrying about him. It's Dean season. I'm like, all right, okay. Zack Baun is going to make it hard for Nakobe Dean. And so far, the coaches are seeing that. As of right now, Fangio has more trust in Zack Baun than Nakobe Dean. But that's the beautiful thing about having a new coach, a new DC in particular. They don't owe you shit. They coming into that team saying, look, everybody's starting from ground zero. I don't care what you did last year. I don't care where you was drafted. I don't care what college you went to. What are your traits? What can you provide? How reliable are you? How quickly are you taking on the scheme and the offense in the playbook? Or the defense in the playbook. How fast are you catching on? Are you a quick study? What are the instincts looking like? Are you always in the right place at the right time? Are you exercising gap control? Zack Baun clearly is in pole position. Zack Baun clearly is more favored in that linebacker room than Nakobe Dean is. That's just the fact of the matter. Now, I don't think Nakobe Dean is going to get moved or traded or anything, right? I don't think Nakobe Dean is a trade candidate at all. But I do think he's at risk of not being a high-impact player on his defense. Year 1, didn't get any reps. Year 2, didn't get any reps because he couldn't stay healthy. The Eagles wanted him to be a starter. They gave him the green dot without him even doing anything to earn it. Yet they gave it to him. Ended up on IR twice in the same season to injuries to both feet. Liz Frank and so on and so forth. I don't really know the injuries in particular, but them feet are shaky. Also, when you think about Nakobe Dean and the size he has at the position, Nakobe Dean is not a big guy. 5'11", 231 pounds, not imposing by any stretch of the imagination. But listen to this. Zack Baun, on the other hand, 6'3", 225. He has length and size at the position. He's athletic, capable of playing sideline to sideline. It all makes sense. He was a stat sheet stuffer with the Saints. I believe when he was with the Saints, he had the opportunity to start about maybe 5 or 6 games. Like I said, 6'3", 225 pounds, 27 years old. He's a former Wisconsin linebacker, so he comes from good stock. He's been in the NFL for 4 seasons. He's entering his 5th season. Spent his entire career with the Saints and has always been a perennial impact player on special teams. But in 2023 was how he was able to really show what he was capable of in the defensive system for the Saints. Again, his 2023 stats aren't jarring, but in his 6 starts, he was able to play 301 snaps, had 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 15 pressures, 4 quarterback hits, 4 TFLs, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. He was stuffing his stat sheet, and he was everywhere on the field. He had the speed and the athleticism to get to the quarterback. He had the instincts and the lateral movement and the fluidity to be effective in pass coverage. Nakobe Dean has not been a player like that for us, unfortunately. Midwest Eagles fan, open your ears and make sure you listen when I speak, my guy. When people say you're stuffing the stat sheet, that means you're hitting more than one category, my friend. That's what stuffing the stat sheet means. Let me equate it to basketball. If you have a player who's on your bench and they always give you 10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, that's called stuffing the stat sheet because you're checking off many categories. You're affecting the game in more ways than one. That's called stuffing the stat sheet, not just the tackling category. So please, I'm a very pleasant host, but make sure when you speak, you know what you're talking about. Like I said, in the minimal time he was able to play, he was able to affect the game in more ways than one. Sacks, pass deflections, an interception, tackles. What are you talking about? Make it make sense. And don't worry, brother, I'm not emotional. I do this. I'm passionate about this. You came here. Remember, you a fan. You came here. People that know me know how I get down. You must be new to this. I'm true to this. Like I said, if you got a player coming off your bench in basketball, he give you 9 points, 5 assists, 5 boards, 2 blocks, a steal. That's literally stuffing the stat sheet. Literally. That's literally what that is. That's all. But I get it. Nonetheless, you must be a Nakobe Dean fan. And I understand that it hurts. Zack Baun is taking that man's job, and he just got here. Ain't that some shit, y'all? Zack Baun just got here. Already getting more reps than Nakobe Dean. What that say about him? Somebody say something. My man, you know what my man G Dragon says? I flipped on Sills right now for you. Keep going hard, Tone. Hey, shout out to Sills. Hope she's doing well. Hope he's doing well. Where was I? Ty B says, I wish he did more last season. It pains me to see him go, but yeah, writing's on the wall. Yeah, Bradberry, it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. Bold Bruce says, Dean coming off an injury. Ain't that the problem? Ain't that the problem? He healthy enough to clearly be getting. He's in activities. He's active in these activities. He's active. He's been rotating with Devin White and Zack Baun. Yeah, coming off, but that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem we have. And I'm hoping for the best for the brother. If I'm being honest, I want the best players on the field. I want the most effective players on the field. That's the God honest truth. I don't care who their name is. I want the most effective player on the field. But if Nakobe Dean can't even be healthy, how will I ever know if he's effective? And notice this. And notice this, by the way. I've never even said Nakobe Dean was a bad player. If you notice, when I talk about Nakobe Dean, I never say he's a bad player. It always goes back to the health. I don't even know if he's a bad player. That's the crazy part. I don't even know if he's a bad player. And that's the most annoying part about it. I can't even say he's bad. Life would be easier if we said he was bad. But we can't even say that because he hasn't been able to get on the field because of the health. Year one, I don't hold it against him. Didn't hold it against him at all year one. I understood the assignment. Year two, yo, they gave you the green dot. They made you the starter. Granted, it was low-hanging fruit, but they made you the starter. Simple as that. They gave you the green dot. You didn't do nothing to earn that, but they gave it to you. And look how it turned out. All I'm trying to say is Zack Baun, when it comes to the measurables, he has the edge over Dean. When it comes to health, he has the edge over Dean. And Vic Fangio, don't you think, and remind you, he's getting a good look at these guys. And we're only able to talk about the OTAs that are visible to the media. But don't you think if the Eagles wanted to quell the flames around Nakobe Dean, don't you think he would be getting the first team reps with Devin White instead of Zack Baun? Remember, the Philadelphia Eagles care a lot about their perception. The Eagles care about how they're viewed. They care about how their decisions are viewed. They care about all those things, right? Remember, they had Nakobe Dean penciled in as the starter for last season. They drafted him. They wanted him to be the guy. Remember, they moved on from TJ Edwards for him. Remember that. They moved on from a proven player in TJ Edwards for Nakobe Dean. They cleared the runway for him. And still couldn't take advantage of that. So now you bring in Vic Fangio, a new DC, an old school coach, a player, a coach that's well respected, and he has no relationship to these guys. His mindset is, I want the best players on the field. I want the most ready players on the field. Whoever is grasping these concepts, I want them on the field. Zack Baun is ahead of Nakobe Dean, the same player the Philadelphia Eagles put their eggs in a basket in and moved on from TJ Edwards. And every time the media went to OTAs, Zack Baun was getting the first team reps with Devin White. It'd be different if Zack Baun was getting first team reps when the media wasn't there. And then when the media got there, Nakobe Dean was there. That's them trying to spin a narrative. But they're making it very clear. Fuck the narratives. Fuck the media. Zack Baun is the better player right now. Like, I don't understand. And then you got some people trying to dismiss Zack Baun. And again, he was a special teamer primarily for his career, and I don't dismiss that at all. I don't act like that's not something to talk about because it is. He's clearly been a player that had a limit on his game to the point where he only been a special teamer. Granted, the Saints have always been pretty stacked on defense, but nonetheless, he's been a special teamer primarily throughout his career. He was able to make an impact in his 4th season, coming in when they had a lot of injuries, had a strong final stretch of the season. Again, through 6 games played, through 6 starts, 301 snaps, 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 15 pressures, 4 quarterback hits, 4 TFLs, 1 interception, 2 pass deflections. And also, I'll take it a step further. I'll tell you guys what the media in New Orleans said about Zack Baun. According to Ross Jackson, who covers the Saints for SI.com's Saints News Network, he says Zack Baun was an undervalued impact player for the Saints, especially in 2023. He was an undervalued impact player. I don't know what else to say about it. Again, the Eagles care about how they're perceived in the media. They do. I think we all can agree with that. So if they wanted to make sure that the fans and the media believed that they still had a lot of faith in Nakobe Dean, don't you think he would be getting the starting reps behind or the starting reps next to Devin White? Don't you think that? And I don't want to hear he's coming off of an injury, because if he's healthy enough to rotate, he's healthy enough to get the first team reps. Because for all that, just give him the first team reps and then just rotate him and make sure you limit the action. But he's getting second team reps, and they're rotating him in at first team to see how he pairs with Devin White and or Zack Baun, respectively. As of right now, Zack Baun has the edge over Nakobe Dean, but there's a ton of time left in this offseason. I want to make sure I make that clear. A lot can change between now and week 1 of the NFL season. Bold Bruce says probably just slowly working them in. I'm not buying that. I'm sorry. Bold Brew. You may be a Dean guy, and I don't want it to sound like I hate Nakobe Dean or I'm praying on his downfall. I want the best players on the field, but I'm acknowledging what my eyes are telling me. I'm trying to read between the lines here. I'm not trying to just see what I want to see. A lot can change. Marina Sands says a lot can change by then. Burks will be ahead of Dean. Like they brought in Oren Burks, Devin White, Zack Baun. Like they brought in a lot of bodies. They drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Doesn't that tell you anything about how they view that position? How they view Nakobe Dean? Doesn't it tell you anything? Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean are kind of built the same from a height and weight perspective. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has more weight on him, but they drafted a linebacker. They signed 3 linebackers in free agency that plays the same position as Nakobe Dean. Do you think they have that much faith in him? There's no way. Oh my God. Let me leave this alone. Because a lot of people's feelings getting hurt. Let me leave this alone. I'm going too hard. I'm speaking too much truth. Let me leave it alone. I'll just say this. Nakobe Dean, watch your cookies. Watch your lunch tray. Them boys over a cell block 3 watching you. Watch your lunch tray. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be an uphill battle. Because to your point, right? Let's just say they are working him in slow, right? Let's just say that. Zack Baun still has the edge over him because he's healthy. John Jays, thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. This actually slipped my mind. John Jays says Vic Fangio talked about Zack Baun from his first press conference. I think it took the media by surprise, but at that point, he didn't mention Nakobe. Like, come on, y'all. Come on. Working him in slow? Come on, you guys. We're better than this. We're better than this. Like I said, I want the best guys on the field. I want Nakobe Dean to maximize his fullest potential. I'm not praying on his downfall. I want him to be great. I want him to have a good NFL career. I want that for him. I really do. I want him to be able to feed his family for years to come with those NFL checks. I want that for him. But I'm going to acknowledge the fact that Zack Baun has the edge over him. A guy that a lot of you guys talk shit about when they signed him. And still talk shit about him. But I'll tell you this. I ain't gotta say much about it. Zack Baun is clearly showing. Drew Anderson, I love what you're saying. See, now the adults are coming into the room. Drew Anderson says, if you were saying Trotter Jr. was outplaying Nakobe Dean and not Baun, nobody would say a word. You damn right they wouldn't. You damn right, Drew. They'll be like, oh, yeah, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the legacy, just like his dad. It's over for Nakobe Dean. Isn't it crazy how easy it is for a fan base to flip on a player? Isn't it crazy? Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is now the new kid at school. Like, Jeremiah Trotter is like the new kid at school, and Nakobe Dean is like the guy that used to be the man, but now he has to find a way to stay popular, stay relevant. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. get more love in the city than Nakobe Dean now. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real. That's what we do here. We keep it real, and we still give you that thread of optimism. We still give you that thread of Eagles fandom. Because although I'm a fan of this team, I'm going to always call it how I see it and be as honest as I can with you guys. And I will never lie to you guys. I will only tell you my truth and my perspective. Nothing more, nothing less. So like Drew said, I bet you if I was saying, oh, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is outplaying Nakobe Dean, y'all wouldn't give a damn. But because it's Zack Baun, y'all find it hard to believe. Because it's Zack Baun, y'all saying, they working him in. You know, they working Dean in. And guess what, Bo Brew? You may be right. Let's just say again, you're right. Let's say they are working him in slow. Let's just say that. Don't you think he should still be getting first team reps? Because remember, I'm going to tell, and also, and Cody, I didn't forget about you. I'm going to get to your super chat, Cody. I got you. But listen to this. I'm going to read some unbiased observations from OTAs. It says here, Devin White and Zack Baun were the first linebackers up in 7-on-7. But Dean rotated in for Baun. Later on, the Eagles held an 11-on-11 period where Dean rotated in for White. So again, he's healthy enough to play on the field and healthy enough to rotate, but he's not healthy enough to get the first team. He's not healthy enough to get the start. He's not healthy enough to be first. That's why I'm not buying that they're working him in slow. I can't buy that. I'm sorry, I can't buy it because he's on the field. He's participating in team drills. Even if they still were working him in slow, he can still be the first man up and play the same amount of reps he's playing. You get what I'm saying? He's rotating in for both Devin White and Zack Baun. Why are we trying to throw this man Bell instead of just acknowledging what it is? As of right now, Zack Baun is ahead of him. Period. Fuck the whole working him in slow. No, it's not. Unspoken Word says love in the city doesn't have to do with playing time. Baun against Dean is real. So why is try to unlock? No, I'm not saying if that's what you got from that, that's not what I'm saying. I don't believe Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a lock for anything. But the point is, if I was talking about Jeremiah Trotter the way I'm talking about Zack Baun in relation to Nakobe Dean, people wouldn't be upset about it. You get what I'm saying? They wouldn't be upset about it. If everything I said about Zack Baun, if you just change Zack Baun to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and everything, and you include everything I said, people wouldn't have a problem with it. But because Zack Baun is the lesser name, he used to be a special teamer with the Saints. Nah, there's no way he's going to outplay Nakobe Dean. They're working in Dean slow. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I'll let you guys believe it. I'll let you guys live it. But to your point, Unspoken Word, you said one true thing. Zack Baun versus Nakobe Dean is very real. And I want people to wake up and accept it. This shit ain't safe for nobody, especially when you got a new DC in the building. Point blank, period. I love that Unspoken Word said Baun against Dean is real. But why won't they accept it, Unspoken? Why won't they accept it? Help somebody make it make sense for me. Anyway, my man Cody with the $5 donation. Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate you. All the love you give, man. Hope all is well with you, with the family. Hope all is well with you on the work front. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate you. He says, I have wanted Dean to be the guy since we drafted him. Agreed. I agree with you. I wanted Dean to be the guy too. He says, I've wanted Dean to be the guy since we drafted him because he seems like a great dude. But I also want to win the lottery and know that isn't happening. No, I feel you, man. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Marina Sand says Dean fits the bench, or Dean fits sitting on the bench. That's funny. John J says, oh, yeah, you see them talking about him moving to the will. They're trying to see where he fits. Right. It's a possibility. possibility. It's a possibility. Midwest Eagles fan says Zack Baun is a placeholder. Nobody said Zack Baun was a future Pro Bowler. Nobody said Zack Baun was this world beater. Nobody said Zack Baun is going to be an all-pro. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. I'm just acknowledging what the player has done. That's all. I'm acknowledging what the player has done and what he's currently doing. That's all. Zack Baun could, who knows what Zack Baun's future holds? I only can operate off of today and history. So although Zack Baun, like Drew Anderson said, may not be a household name, in this current linebacker room, as it's presently constructed, he has proven and shown that he should be getting the first team reps ahead of Nakobe Dean, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Ben Van Sumeren. As of right now, Devin White and Zack Baun are the two top linebackers. And I don't think we should be resistant to acknowledging the reality that Nakobe Dean is not in pole position right now. Nakobe Dean is not safe. Let's not forget, Nakobe Dean was a 3rd-round pick. The Eagles don't owe him shit. He wasn't drafted in the 1st round. Some people talk about Nakobe Dean like he was drafted in the 1st round. A lot of y'all got this vested interest in Nakobe Dean like he was drafted in the 1st round. He was a 3rd-round pick, meaning he's replaceable. He's replaceable. Flexing and Stepping says Baun is the healthier player. That's why he's going to be on the field, if anything. That's all. Like, Nakobe Dean had 2 major injuries to both feet. That's crazy. It's crazy. Unspoken Word says, okay, now I see what you're saying. Baun can beat out Dean. But Dean and Baun are 2 of our top 4 inside linebackers. So you're educating our fans about our reality. Well, I don't even like using the word educating because like that kind of comes off as arrogant. The last thing I want to be is arrogant. That's not my personality. I'm not a arrogant person by design, by nature. I'm not. But I just want some people to just acknowledge that Nakobe Dean is not in a good place, or is not in a position where he should just be safe. And I bet you he knows that. That's another thing too. I think Nakobe Dean is fully aware of his situation and how he is on the cusp of not being a starter on this Philadelphia Eagles roster in 2024. Like I said, though, a lot can change. A lot can change. God forbid Zack Baun is the one that start getting hurt, right? Next, we don't know. What if Nakobe Dean comes alive in training camp? What if Nakobe Dean has a stellar preseason? So much can happen. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just completely like off the Nakobe Dean train. It's just like, no, I'm just acknowledging that this player is clearly ahead of him. This player has the edge over him. And that's all. He's entering year 3. Remember, he was a 3rd-round pick. He only has a 4-year contract. This year is so important for him. He only has this season, the 2024 season, and the 2025 season left on his deal. This 3rd year for him is crucial. in deciding what his future may be. Austin, my man, he says Nakobe Dean is 100% having a proven year. Absolutely. You see, I don't kill Nakobe Dean for year one because that was out of his control. The Eagles had veterans they had on the field. They wanted to lean on TJ Edwards and Kaiser White, and rightfully so. But when you decide to let TJ Edwards walk in 2023 and you position Nakobe Dean to be your starter and he can't even stay on the field to make an impact, which actually makes a major impact negatively on his development. That's another thing we got to talk about too. Nakobe Dean's development has been hampered by the injuries. Can you imagine if Nakobe Dean was able to get the full 17-game season under his belt? Can you imagine where he probably could be or what he maybe would have developed into as the season went along? The injuries not only give Zack Baun the edge, it's had a major impact on Nakobe Dean's development. You don't get better at this game in the ice bath. You don't get better at this game laying on the training table. You don't get better at this game sitting home on crutches. You get better at this game playing it, being available, getting reps in, sharpening those instincts, sharpening those tools and your fundamentals and your skill set. That's how you get better at this game. So Nakobe Dean had a setback. We'll see if he can bounce back, though. I think Zack Baun has the edge. KGK says, I'll put it like this. If Dean gets cut, who's knocking down doors to get him? It's a good question. It's a great question. I don't know anybody. Unspoken words. He says facts. Nakobe Dean isn't a lock to start. He's on the roster this year. Very interesting, your content today. Yeah. Yeah, man. Fly Eagles fly. You know, I'm always trying to give you guys my version of things, my perspective. You know, and again, Nakobe Dean can completely change the narrative. I'm not acting like he's a lost cause. So I hope you guys aren't getting that from me. I do not think he's a lost cause, but I do believe that he is facing some stiff competition. And as of right now, he doesn't have the edge. Thank you for watching Unspoken. Marina says playing 17 games wouldn't make him taller or heavier. No, I'm not saying that, Marina. But what I'm saying is if he would have showed, despite the lack of size, right, Marina, if he would have showed you that he knows how to play the position, he knows where to be, he's making plays, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you got guys like, what's my man in Kansas City? What's the linebacker in Kansas City? Damn. Why am I blanking? Jeez. The linebacker in Kansas City. Oh, my God. Why am I blanking on his name? Why am I blanking? He's a hell of a player. He's a hell of a player. No, not Gay. Not Gay. Not Willie Gay. He plays for the Saints now, I think. Not Willie Gay. The Mizzou linebacker. Damn, wow. Nick Bolton. Yes. Thank you, Chris Carraway. Thank you. Nick Bolton. Thank you, Chris. Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is an undersized linebacker. He's like 5'11", 5'10", like 230. I think he's not a big dude at all. So, Marina Sands, to your point, you're right. Playing 17 games wouldn't make Nakobe Dean taller or heavier. But if he would have, despite the size, if he would have showed that he can play the position and he knows what he's doing, and he's getting tackles, and he's getting pass deflections, and he's flying to the ball, right? At the very least, we would have been able to say, hey, that man's small, but he's a bullet train. Hey, that man ain't got that much size on him, but he sure is making plays. He knows where to be. You get what I'm saying? So, and also, we would have been in a position to say, okay, he's good or he's bad. Right? At the very least, we would have been able to form a strong opinion about Nakobe Dean. If you noticed, I have not formed a concrete opinion about Nakobe Dean. I haven't. I haven't said he's a bad player. I haven't said he's a good player. I haven't even said he's an okay player. He needs to be active first. JJ, you're absolutely right. He has to get active. He has to get active. Otherwise, his future not going to be bright in Philadelphia. He's gonna be looking like James Bradberry, being on a chopping block. So overall, and we're going to get out of here soon, you guys. I'm grateful for you guys for locking in for as long as you did. I just needed to get that off my chest, as it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles situation, especially as we approach June 1st. Marina Sands says, but he has shown he is too small to get off blocks and too slow to cover. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But here's the thing, right, Marina? Here's the thing, right? I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that with more reps and more plays and more opportunities, maybe he could have settled in. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. You see, I'm a nice guy. I'm not totally off Nakobe Dean. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, Marina, that, hey, as the season progressed, he would learn, get sharper, get better. You only get better by playing, right? And small guys like Nick Bolton find ways to get out the blocks and find ways to cover still. So I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that if he would have played 17 games, maybe we would know what he is. That's really my main point. If he would have played 17 games, maybe we would have knew what he was or what he is. But as of right now, we have no idea what he is. And that's the ultimate problem, Marina. That's the real issue. That not that he's a good player or a bad player. The problem is that we don't know which category he falls into. Chris Carraway says they got a consistent coordinator even when winning. If we win, our coordinator's gone. Well, probably on the offensive side. I don't think Fangio's going anywhere. I think Fangio was done with the head coaching stuff. Fangio made it very clear that this is where he's trying to, call it a career. So I don't think Fangio's going anywhere. Kellen Moore could be going somewhere if the Eagles have a stellar season. JJ Irvin says, do we need another safety? Buda Baker or Simmons? It's a good question. As of right now, the safety room has C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, Mekhi Gardner, Andre Sam, Tristan McCullum. I wouldn't be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles do add another safety, but I don't think it's going to be a Buda Baker type. I don't think so. If they get Buda Baker, that'd be a shocker. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're more likely to get another body in free agency, maybe Justin Simmons. He's still available. But if that's not the case, I can definitely see them starting the season with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship. I can definitely see them doing that. Remember, they extended Reed Blankenship. They gave him a one-year extension. So right now he has 2024 and 2025 season on his contract. But I would say, yeah, we need another safety, JJ, to answer your question directly. So yeah, James Bradberry, he's going to get cut. That's my perspective. I think he's going to get cut. Now, there are rumors that the Cardinals and the Colts are interested in the player. There's rumors that he could be making a move to either one of those organizations. He does have the Jonathan Gannon connection with in Arizona, and I'm sure Shane Steichen is very familiar with James Bradberry's game in Indianapolis. So it's one of three options for James Bradberry, or you could say one of two options. He could either get cut or get traded. I think he gets cut because June 1st is right around the corner. And that's how I see that. And then when it comes to the linebacker position, Devin White has been making plays all across the field. Zack Baun has been making plays. Zack Baun and Devin White, as of right now, are the first team linebackers through OTAs. Even with Vic Fangio being the new DC, he's made it clear that he likes what he's seeing from Zack Baun. Nakobe Dean, on the other hand, he's been the second team linebacker, but he's also rotated in to get some reps next to Devin White, and he also got reps next to Zack Baun, respectively. So that's pretty much been his role right now, rotating in for both players to see, I guess, where he fits. Maybe they're working him in slow. I don't know. That's not really how I see it, but you never know. That could be the case. That very well could be the case. But we're going to get out of here, you guys. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support you guys have been giving the content. It's been tremendous. It's been awesome. You guys are truly, truly one of one. I don't take the support for granted. I don't take the love for granted. Continue to stay locked in. Continue to stay subscribed. Keep hitting that like button. Keep that notification bell on. It makes you guys completely aware whenever I go live. So make sure you guys stay locked in on the content. I think this is going to be a hell of an offseason, a hell of a training camp. You got a lot of people vying for that cornerback 2 spot. You got Quinyon Mitchell right there. You got Isaiah Rodgers, Kelee, Ringo. James Bradberry is going to be moved on from. So I think it's going to be really, really, really competitive. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see how this stuff pans out. So I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. You guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. And fly, Eagles, fly.